Alright, hey guys, welcome back to another video with Lim Reviews. In today's video, we'll be checking out the Amazfit GT S2 that I've been using for the past 10 days. Yep, so I've read a lot of your comments in my first video of the unboxing and the initial impressions, and you guys have asked me so many questions about the Amazfit GT S2. So in this video, I'll be going through a couple of items. You should be able to see the list on the side of your screen right here. These are the items that I'll be covering in this video, so you have a clearer picture on what the Amazfit GT S2 is all about. So first and foremost, I just want to say that the Amazfit GT S2 here is a big improvement compared to the previous version. What I mean by that is it comes with so much more features and you can do so much more with this watch itself that I think this is something that you should really consider about that. But like I said, let me go through the entire list that I have over here, and maybe you would know better about this smartwatch and whether it is something that you should wait for or buy in the coming months. Alright, so first up, let's talk about the price. So the Amazfit GT S2 here was launched in China for about 999 yuan, and that is about 150 US dollars. So obviously the watch here is still the Chinese version. Please take in mind that there is no global version right now. It'll be out in maybe a 1 to 2 months or maybe even 3 months. We don't know exactly when Amazfit will launch this globally, but for sure the Amazfit GT S2 will be available in your country sometime. Alright, so first up, let's talk about the comfort levels of this watch. So as we can see here, I've been wearing this for the past 10 days and the straps here are actually very flexible. The watch is very light, so I don't feel any discomfort while wearing this watch. Overall, design-wise, I've already talked about this in my initial impressions video. It is what it is. You can see here, this is the watch itself. It does have this crown protector on the side here. Thanks to you guys for telling me about that. Apart from that, like I said, I've been wearing this watch to sleep for the past 10 days as well, so I have a lot of data to share with you guys. Overall, comfort-wise, it has been really comfortable to put on, and I have no issues with comfort whatsoever. Alright, so moving on to my next point, I want to talk about this display right here. So a lot of you guys have been asking me if there is an always on display, and of course the answer is yes. We already had the always on display in the first version. So in the second GT S2 right here, the always on display is a bit more special. As you can see, the always on display just got on here and it follows the kind of watch face that you have on actually. So notice here that this is the watch face right now, and if I just turn it off, it goes into this always on display following the kind of design on the watch face. So I'm just going to swap through a couple of watch faces here to show you guys what I'm talking about. So if I move on to this particular watch face right here, notice that when I do the always on display thing, it shows sorry about that. Notice that if I do the always on display, it shows up like this. So the design follows the watch face. So speaking about watch faces, let me show you guys a couple more because there are a lot of interesting watch faces that I have here. Of course, you can download more watch faces on the app itself. There is a lot of watch faces there. I think more than 50 at the moment, and each of them looks really good, especially suited for the Amazfit GTS right here. So of course, you can have this kind of watch faces that comes with a lot of information. So once again, notice that when I just turn the screen off like that, there you go. The always on display watch design will follow the watch face design that you chose. Alright, so moving on from that, the second thing that you guys are asking a lot is about that notifications. So how does notifications work on this? So first up, I'm going to talk about how messages look like and how calls look like as well. So I'm going to show you a couple of notifications that I've got on my watch. So let me just get to the notifications very quickly. And yep, so this is basically my notification center, and these are all the notifications that I have coming into my device right here. So of course, it will take notifications from most of your applications. In fact, you can switch this on in your app, the Zepp app itself that the watches syncs to, and then you can choose like what kind of notifications you would like to receive. So I've turned on basically every single notification, and I'm having all those coming into my watch right here. Alright, so the new thing about the GT S2 in terms of notifications is that now we do have a speaker on the side, so we can have this sound kind of notifications coming in. So instead of just having the sound on your smartphone itself, you can also have the watch beep to let you know that there is a new notification coming in. So that's pretty cool right there. Alright, so now moving on to the calls for the GT S2. Yeah, this watch does receive calls, and how it works is basically you pair this watch via Bluetooth to your phone itself. So when you have calls coming into your watch, you'll basically be able to see like the option to answer the phone call on the watch face itself. You can pick up calls here, and you can of course answer your phone calls on the watch itself because it has a built-in mic and speaker. So the volume is actually pretty loud. I'm going to show you this volume in later on when I show the music because I don't have any calls coming in. But rest assured, the audio, so when I have a few calls, I actually tested it on the Amazfit GT S2, and the other person on the other side of the phone was able to tell me that they can listen to me pretty clearly. So not too much to worry about the microphone there. The other person who's calling calling you will definitely be able to hear you clearly. What's more important is the volume of this speaker that gets pretty loud. So if your call is a private and personal one, I would suggest you to actually connect a Bluetooth earphones to your watch itself so you can answer the phone calls on your Bluetooth earphones without having anyone else around you to listen to what the content is about. Alright, so just so you know, the watch here, the Amazfit GT S2 is not running on like Android Wear OS, so you can't reply to messages on the watch. Listen to this again. A lot of you guys are just asking me, you can't reply to messages. The only thing you can do, like I said, is answer phone calls directly from the watch itself, but note that your phone must be with you because it is still your phone that's ringing, but you can answer calls through the watch by, like I said, through the speakers or through the Bluetooth earphones. Alright, so about that, let's move on to our next point, which is the music player. So we do have 4 GB of built-in memory in the GT S2, like I mentioned previously. And yes, we do have a music player in the watch itself. So if you just go into music right here, you can actually choose like which source of music you want to play it from. You can play it from your smartphone's music, but you can also choose to play the music that is from the watch itself. So I've actually transferred a couple of songs into the watch itself. And how this works is very simple. You just pair it with your app once again, and you can transfer songs that are already in your smartphone to the watch itself through the app. So it's a fairly simple process. Everything is listed out very clearly in the app itself, so it's very easy to do that. And now let me show you a couple of songs here. So I do have this song already in my watch here. It's a Sunset Eyes. So I'm just going to play it right here. Alright, so as you can see, the music volume does get pretty loud. I would say it's a bit comparable to my iPhone speaker actually in terms of volume. Of course, the iPhone comes with like a dual stereo speaker, so the watch volume does get pretty loud. But like I said, the audio quality coming out from this speaker on the watch itself is actually pretty good. I'm actually quite surprised with the audio quality. It sounds pretty nice. Alright, the next thing I want to talk about here is the AI assistant that is on the watch itself. So obviously, because this is meant for China, so it works with Xiaoai or Xiaomi's AI assistant. So what's really interesting here is that when the global version gets released, we might actually get Alexa, but before that, there's a couple of built-in offline AI features that actually works without internet, and I think that's pretty cool. So for example, like you can see, whenever I unlock the device itself, you can see this little icon at the bottom indicating that it is actually listening for a command. So I can actually like just say a command right now without actually connected to the internet, but it will be able to detect these commands and launch applications, for example. So let me just try one to show you guys. 打开天气. And look at that, it basically just launches up the weather instantly. So what I said was launch weather, so it can launch the weather right away. It can also work with a couple of other commands, for example, setting alarms. So let me try and do that very quickly. It has to go to sleep first, so 闹钟8点. So check that out. It was actually very fast to detect the audio, and it can really listen to my speech very clearly, and is able to do what I asked it to do. So definitely this is a very cool feature on the watch itself, this AI assistant. And the best part, like I mentioned, is that it works offline without any internet connection required. So there's a couple of more other commands actually built into the watch, so you can understand a couple of commands without the internet, like I said, and it is very accurate. It can work very accurately. So definitely looking very much forward to the global version and seeing what Amazfit actually puts in there for these kind of commands. Good stuff here. Alright, moving on, let me talk a little bit about the fitness features of the Amazfit GT S2. Alright, so I've did a couple of testing here. Obviously, because we are in this COVID situation, so we can't actually do a lot of outdoor activities. But what I actually tested here was an outdoor run. So the GPS actually worked pretty well. So you can see that we do have a lot of information directly on the watch itself. I just did a 1 kilometer run, so it took about like close to 8 minutes for that. It was just a quick jog, and of course it has my pace here, the number of steps and all that. So a lot of information on the watch itself, but like I said, the main highlight here is that the GPS took pretty quick to lock on to the position. It took about like 10 seconds to lock on, and I think that's fairly standard. So I did test this out at a couple of other locations, and good news is that it was able to track my location pretty accurately, and it was able to lock on to GPS fairly quickly. So like I said, 10 seconds is pretty standard stuff. Apart from that, the heart rate tracking, the SpO2 tracking, sleep tracking, and stress tracking, these are 4 items that are also tracked on the watch itself. I would say that these are also pretty standard stuff. Nothing too much to shout about here. Amazfit has been making tons of smartwatches since their first day. They started this business, and obviously they are able to do some pretty accurate heart rate tracking. Sleep tracking was also a pretty mixed bag, I would say. I can't really tell how accurate it is. So looking from my app itself, let me just launch this very quickly. I've actually tracked my sleep over the past few nights, and this is how it looks like. So what it will show you here is how many hours of deep sleep, light sleep, your REM, your rapid eye movements, and the time that you were awake. So naturally, I don't really get very good sleep in, but this is what you get here. I would say that it's accurate, like 80% accurate. I wouldn't say it's the most accurate. Sometimes, I mean, just take this with a pinch of salt, because like at the end of the day, your main aim is to just sleep earlier and of course try to get a good night's sleep in. But yeah, this is the kind of stats that you can see from the app itself. This is the Zepp app, pretty good. Alright, so in terms of the stress tracking, let me just show it to you guys here. I'm not too sure about how accurate this is, because when I just look at the values, right, like, I mean, this doesn't make too much sense, because sometimes when I'm actually pretty stressed up doing my work, during my work day, yeah, I noticed that the stress values was pretty low, and then at the end of the day, like when I'm actually eating some dinner or something, the stress values goes all the way up. So I'm not too sure about that. I wouldn't advise you to rely on this too much for the stress tracking, but yeah, it is what it is. It's here if you want to look at it, but yeah, don't take this too seriously. Alright, so in terms of fitness tracking, like I said, we do get like the 12 different kind of sports modes, very simple basic stuff. Alright, so let me just go through the list once more very quickly. So obviously we do have your outdoor running, outdoor walking, jogging, cycling, and of course it also tracks your swims. So you can take this watch to swim if you're the kind of person. You should be able to track your swims. I don't swim, so I can't show you guys an example here. And yeah, this is basically the list of activities on the watch itself. Alright, I think I've covered pretty much everything I would like to share with you guys. The last but most important point that I want to talk about here is the battery life on this Amazfit GT S2. Alright, so here's the bombshell. The battery life on the Amazfit GT S2 was actually advertised to last on 7 days with one single charge, but the reality here is that I'm only getting about 2 days maximum on the GT S2. So this is a pretty disappointing thing, because I noticed that when I actually used the watch a lot, it was only able to max out at 1.5 days. So definitely very poor battery life we were getting from Amazfit here. Like I said, on better days, I'm able to get in 2 days of battery life. Yeah, but compared to the previous Amazfit GTS, the first version, which was able to last about 10 days on one single charge, I think this is a huge downgrade in terms of the battery life. Yeah, I understand that we're getting a lot of new features in on the watch. I've actually tried to get more battery life out of the Amazfit GTS 2 by removing the always on display. I actually turned off the AI assistant so that it's not always listening to my commands. I tried to get the most battery out, but the most I could get was 2 days on the Amazfit GTS 2. So like I said, I'm pretty disappointed with the battery life here. Of course, I'm still going to continue using this smartwatch to test it out further, but this is what you should expect with the Amazfit GTS 2. Alright guys, I think that's pretty much it for this video, the Amazfit GTS 2. Like I said, it does bring a lot of new features to the Amazfit GTS 2. We do have a pretty nice display, tons of new watch faces, the built-in speaker, built-in memory for music, and just a lot of stuff for the Amazfit GTS 2, but the main letdown here is the battery life. So if you're able to accept the battery life of like 1.5 to 2 days, I think you could still consider this watch. For me, I'll be checking out the Amazfit GT R2 to see if we get better battery life to make my decision on whether I should choose the GTS 2 or the GT R2. Alright guys, if you have any more questions, please leave them down in the comment section below. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!